Welcome everyone to Healthy for Life. This is week 15, if you can believe that. It's week 14. Sorry, I misspoke. We are going to just do a kind of, I'm going to be your hype girl today, if you will. We're going to do kind of a little reset with what we're doing right now. And so we call this presentation Healthy for Life. So let me get that started here. There we go. So I have to start because I have a tendency to put pictures that are meaningful in these presentations. And of course, most of the time, meaningful pictures for me are experiences that I've had personally. So if you see the picture there, if you're afraid of heights, you might not like it very much. This is a picture of my daughter at one of the high ropes courses in Montana. And I'm putting this on here because it was a very intimidating, scary experience for her. But at the same time, it was something that she really, really wanted to do. And so I see the connection between this picture and what you all are working on, where in many ways it can be a very intimidating, scary experience, but still something that you really want to do. And so this picture is intended to encourage you because she was able to get up there and do things such as stand on this tightrope and go across that open space. And she was so proud of herself afterwards, even though it was something that was scary for her and intimidating. She was so glad that she did it, that she jumped into something she wasn't sure about and that she did it. So that's why I put this picture on here, because it is definitely something that at some point or another, you're going to run into it and you're going to say, oh man, I don't know if this is something that I can do. But try and jump yourself forward to after it's done and think of how proud you'll be of yourself. So before we go any further with that, I wanted to see if you all had feedback that you wanted to share. You don't know you can't do it until you try. That's so true. Yeah. So I got some feedback from some of you during the week about how the activity week was going, and I have one story to share. It's from one of your co-participants, and he has quite significant physical challenges that really limit his physical activity, even to the point where he sent me an email at the beginning of the week and said, you know what, I can't do any activity. There's nothing that I can do in order to satisfy this. But then as the week went on, he sent me another email and he said, you know what? One of my favorite things to do is to go to the baseball game. And it's really a big challenge for me because in order to get there, I have to drive my car to get there. I have to get up and I have to walk into my seat. I have to go up and down stairs to get to the bathroom. And all of those things are very intimidating and very scary for me, but still so worthwhile to take on that challenge so that I can see the baseball game and I'm getting activity at the same time. And kind of his whole end for the story was, so actually there was activity that I could do. And I really enjoyed it, even though it was really hard for me. So I asked him if I could share that story with you all, just because I thought it was so inspiring. And please feel free to jump in there if there's anything else that you want to share with that story, or from your personal experiences. But there's activity that every person can do. Sometimes you have to think outside the box of what activity might mean to most people and think about what activity means to you and where you can find it. So I was really pleased with that. And I was so happy for him, and glad that he was able to find something like that and start to see activity maybe in a little bit of a new light. So Lori said, I'm usually fairly active, but this last week has been really challenging with the heat. Isn't that so true? And that's where early in the morning, late in the evening, anything that involves water, being in it, being on it, being around it, any of those things are good places to do that. We've spent a lot of time at the lakes and at rivers and at streams in the last couple of weeks, and we're kind of getting, alternate activity. The dog has needed to be walked earlier in the morning so that mom doesn't melt. And we've been doing some kayaking because we have kayaks and we really like those. And also just some wading and floating on the river and boating and all of that kind of stuff. And it really has been very relieving. And on days that we couldn't do that, I will take the hose out. And my daughter and I will water the plants, which means that we water ourselves. And when it's as hot as it is, it's funny how little time it takes you to cool off and need to water yourself again. But it's kind of a fun thing to do with my daughter as well. Jessica said, oh yeah, this is awesome. Jessica said she signed up for the Chicago Triathlon. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of training, but I know I can complete it. I just have to start. So true. And what a powerful mental mantra. I know I can complete it. I just have to start. I just need to do what I need to do today. And that's awesome. And that reminds me, we had the Stay Active Health Fair yesterday, and I got to see some of you in person. So it was really great to see some of you. And if I didn't get to talk to you personally, I hope that you had fun if you came out for the health fair. If you are outside of Helena, we also have a virtual health fair. I'm working on that right now. So look for information about that. There's some fun stuff with that too, but it was really great to see all of you. And Jessica told me about her triathlon when she came to visit me yesterday. And I think that's so wonderful. So that's great. And this one, Teresa said, I joined OpenFit. It was either $9 a month or a flat $100 for the year. So I joined for a year. It was a huge variety of workouts. I stay inside, turn on my fan, and work out. Yeah, that's a great idea too. Even if you can't make it to the gym, then there's so many resources just available online that you can incorporate into that. Yeah, that's a fabulous idea. What did you think about doing an activity week and not meeting here? How did that go for you? I certainly missed getting on and seeing your comments and having the opportunity to connect with all of you. Nobody's going to talk to me today, huh? Well, if you think of something that you want to share, please do put it into the chat box. Because what you would share, and I know I've said this before, but what you would share is interesting. It's different than something I would think of to say. So that's your encouragement. I missed meeting here, but I did enjoy the extra bit of workout. Cool. Did you use the actual time that we would normally have met, or did you put it in a different place in the day? And here's another comment. It says, it made me try out the trails instead of just bike in my neighborhood, Great Falls Riverside Trails. Oh, so cool. You got to go try something new. I love that. Different place, too hot right in the middle of the day. Yeah, It was really hot at that hour, but I swam the next evening for 45 minutes. Yeah, great idea. Wonderful. Wow, great job, everyone. And thank you so much to those of you who shared. That's wonderful for me to hear how everything is going. And I know other people like to hear the ideas too. And I sync it with my Fitbit, and when I'm done, I can see where I rode. Yeah. I tried a new activity, hot yoga, because it isn't hot enough. I know, right? You could do hot yoga outside. It's almost hot enough to do that. Wonderful. All right, everyone. Good. Sounds like activity week was good. I definitely welcome feedback on that, but I like to incorporate that within the program because I feel like it is really a great opportunity to emphasize how important the activity is and to encourage you all to try something new or maybe just a little bit different. So I'm glad that you were able to do that. All right, so let's switch gears and let's think. I see we've got 22 people on today, and I think that's fabulous. I think that it's wonderful and I know I have quite a few people that are following along with the recording. So I think it's wonderful if you can make it in person because that makes a big difference. I think it's wonderful if you're following along on the recordings. Either way, you're probably at a place where having just a little mental reset is a good idea. So if you will, we're going to take the focus back again, because each week we kind of focus in on, okay, what's my goal for the week? So we're real narrow focus. So this, we're just going to take it back again, because sometimes that helps to reset kind of your thought process and what the goals are, and to hopefully reinvigorate your energy towards the program and towards what you're trying to do. Right. So here's our little girl that we saw in our very first presentation, looking at the long road. And what she's looking at might seem a lot like what you're looking at. It's like, geez, that road doesn't look a lot different than when we started. You know, what am I getting anywhere? Why should I continue to do this? All of these are legitimate questions, and questions that are actually important, not for you to shuffle to the side, but actually answer for yourself. And I think you've gotten this as we've gone through the presentation and through the program to this point. This is really about the journey. It's not necessarily about the destination. Our guest presenters that we had reinforced that with their own experience, the journey that never ends. That's what they titled their presentation. And so it really truly is about the journey as versus the destination. But it's really important as you're involved in a long-term program like this. It's long-term sustained hard work. It's tough. This is tough. So it's really important for you to reset, set your glass of water down for a second and think about, what is your driving force? If you wrote that down, or if you noted it anywhere, if you have those materials with you, it's a really great idea to take that out and just take a look at it. Even if you don't have that, think back to when we started the program and remember what your driving force is. What is it that's pushing all of this? What is your overall goal? And you remember at that time we talked about, yeah, a lot of us want to lose weight, but that's not really the be all and end all of it. There's something else. There's something that losing weight is going to get us to, right? There's some sort of difference in our life and our ability to do things. So remember your driving force. What is it that you really want? And why are you doing this? Those are just two more ways to ask that same question. Those questions are intended to get you to whatever your driving force is. What do you really want? And why are you doing this? So if you didn't write it down the first time, or if it's changed a little bit since you wrote it down, you might want to think about writing it down this time, putting it on something so that you can see it. What is your driving force? What is your purpose? Because that purpose sometimes is what's going to get you through those tough days when you're asking yourself the question, am I even getting anywhere? Why should I continue to do this? That driving force is that reminder of why. And also remember why this program is called Healthy for Life. It's not a short-term diet. This program is designed to help you learn lifestyle change and to implement lifestyle change so that you can live a progressively healthier, fuller life. And only time makes this difference clear. You're just probably right now at the point where you're starting to understand what we truly mean by healthy for life, what I truly mean when we talk about healthy for life. And especially if the weight loss has slowed a little, or if you're at a place where you're getting a little frustrated with meeting your goals, think about the times in the past that you may have lost weight with a quick diet. You may have lost weight, right? But did it work in the long term? And what do you really want? What's your driving force? What is it behind that? Comment is in the chat box that says, sometimes when I go to the kitchen, I remind myself that I'm not actually hungry and eating something isn't going to make me feel better in the long run. It's absolutely true. It's all about what you want. It's not willpower, it's want power. I mean, so many things that we've gone over, and hopefully if there were some that resonated with you, you write them down, you noted them down. Just like Jessica just said, you know, what is it that you remind yourself of? Likely to this point, think about it. Are there things that you've learned about to this point that are helpful to you, that you didn't know when you first started this? It can be as simple as what Jessica just shared, that when she goes into the kitchen now, she says to herself that eating that thing is not going to make me feel better in the long run. Strategies like that. That's just an example, but strategies like that. All those things you have learned because you have put the effort in, and you're that much further ahead of where you started from. This is the start of a healthier life for you. A healthier life, not just during the 16 weeks, during the 1 year we're doing Healthy for Life together. Really just, this program is about giving you those building blocks, getting the start, getting you a little bit of inspiration for living a healthier life. Oftentimes we'll look at other people, especially in this age of social media, we'll look at other people and we'll just think they're naturally healthy. They don't, sometimes there's a misconception that they don't struggle. That person, whatever that person is, you know, they don't struggle like you do. And certainly it's true that some people get really awesome genes, right? But people that are healthy come in all shapes and sizes. People that are healthy, you can't necessarily tell by just looking at them. Healthy people are the ones that make conscious choices. Healthy people are the ones who are invested in their health. They're not just expecting it to happen. It's something that they're willing to take the time and the effort so that this is a good vehicle to drive around in for your life. You only get one body, you only get one mind. So healthy people are the ones that invest in their body and their mind. Healthy people stay healthy because they make healthy choices more often as versus unhealthy choices. Everybody makes unhealthy choices sometimes. And I can put that in quotation marks because is it really unhealthy or is it just part of a balanced life? It's a skill, not a talent. It's not something that you're born knowing how to do. This is something we have to navigate in our society the way that it is. We have to navigate in our home. We have to navigate in our own body with what we're given when we're born. So it's different. It looks different for every person. Comparison is the death of motivation, right? Don't try not to compare yourself and try not to look at pictures and say that person's got it all together. That person is healthy. I know it's natural for our mind to want to judge like that, but if you can catch yourself doing that, just say, no, they're a different person than I am. And they have struggles just like we all do. Might not just be something that they wear on their skin for everyone to see. So it takes maintenance, to be healthy. It's something that, you know, just like a car, you need to change the oil. This is kind of our changing the oil webinar, right? So we've been driving for a while, we've been doing pretty good, but maybe things aren't working quite as well. So we take a step back and we refresh the oil or refill the wiper fluid, maybe wash the car, vacuum it out, that sort of thing. Tortoise and the Hare Yeah, you know who wins the race, right? It's not the one that goes fast and then gets distracted. It's the one that is steady, the one that continues to make forward progress step over step without getting distracted for too long. That's who wins the race. It says, let's see here. I like only time makes the difference clear. You go off of a diet, but not a lifestyle change. Yeah, exactly. Yep, you've got it, Bill. Emily said, the only thing I remember that Dr. Phil said in 2002 was this, well, that ain't you. When someone was not happy about being fat, don't know where I got this quote, but don't compare your insides to someone's outsides. So true. And we live in such a materialistic society and such a materialistic world. So easy to get caught up in that. But don't compare your insides to someone's outsides. Yeah, I like that. Those are all examples of things that resonate with you. And those are things worth writing down. Those are worth, putting it someplace where you're, if when you get to a place where you need a little extra motivation, you need to reset, you need to change your oil, then you can pull this out, you can read them, you can look at them again, you can refresh, if you will, or reset. And I'm bringing back this same quote, right? Do you remember this quote from a couple of weeks ago? It's talent that creates opportunity, yet it is desire that creates talent. So you have to want it. What's the point of that, right? You have to want it. It's a skill. It's a skill. You have to want it. That's what's going to create your opportunity. So positive thinking. I believe I've said this to you, but this one is one that resonates with me. So I'm going to say it again. Your words become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your beliefs. Your beliefs become your reality. Have you ever heard people say to speak positive into your life? Have you ever heard of self-fulfilling prophecies? All of that is getting to the same point, is that what you say out loud is what you start to believe. What you believe is where you live, right? I'm positive I can do this, and so can you, says Jessica, like that. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Positive speaking out into the universe, if you want to get all woo-woo about it, right? Positive speaking. You can do it right now if you're alone, or just say it in your head. If you're not alone, you can say, I'm positive I can do this, and so can you. It's almost like namaste, right? With yoga. The light in me sees the light in you. What you hold foremost in your mind is what you are or are going to become. Yes. Same thing, a little bit different way to say it. It's so true. So monitor what comes out of your mouth. Make no mistake that words are powerful. Sometimes words can precede thoughts. If you're having trouble changing your thought process, change the words that come out of your mouth, because that can go the opposite direction. It's kind of like when you need to relax, but your mind isn't letting you do it. You can physically cue your mind to relax. And this is what I've learned because I've had vestibular balance issues. And there's a lot of anxiety that comes along with that, because you're always trying to anticipate when something is going to happen again. So you get all tense, right? And it's like, I have no control over my brain or what's happening in my brain. So one of the most useful skills I've ever learned is that that sequence works both ways. So if you can't control your brain to control your body, you can control your body to control your brain. So what you do, if you need to calm it down, if you're having anxiety, and I know some of you may already know this because anxiety is super common, what you do is you sit up straight, you take a breath, and you allow your belly to move out, and you allow your belly to move back in. Because so often, and it triggers our brain to be anxious when you breathe up in your chest as versus in your belly. When your belly moves, when your brain, when you're breathing, it actually triggers your brain to relax. The other thing you can do is consciously relax your shoulders and sit up nice and straight, because you curl in on yourself when you're afraid, right? You make yourself small and curled in. So that's another way that you can use your body, physically affect your brain by sitting up straight, relaxing your shoulders, breathing into your belly, right? So if you ever start feeling anxious, just try that. Try it for 10 breaths, physically moving your belly out and in, and see if it helps. Because this is an example of how sequences can work both ways. So if you feel like you're stuck someplace, right? You're stuck, I can't change this thing. Just remember it can go both ways. So there's another way to approach that. Change comes, just like Billy said when they gave the presentation, when she decided she was going to lose weight was when she did. I think it's Abraham Lincoln that says, if you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, you won't, right? Change comes when the pros truly outweigh the cons in your mind. If you want it and are willing to do the work for it, it actually is relieving to your brain to not have the constant weighing of pros and cons. Once you finally just decided, I am going to do this. I am going to fill out my food and fitness log. I am going to go for a walk. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no excuses. I have to do it. It gets rid of all that kind of worry. Do I have time? Do I want to? All of that kind of stuff. It can be very relieving. And it's so true. I've seen it so many times. I used to do some tobacco cessation coaching, and tobacco cessation is very much like that as well. I could tell by listening to people if they were going to be able to quit or not, because they decided, and you can hear it in their voice. They went from leaning in to jumping in. What do you do when you start feeling overwhelmed? Put your glass down. What are other ways to say that? Sit up straight, breathe in your belly, right? Change your oil. Go back to basics. Review what your driving force is, why you're here. Those inspirational quotes. So many things that can do. Say it out loud. I am positive I can do this. And so can you. Say it again. I'm positive I can do this. Stop whatever it is and reevaluate, right? It's totally okay to stop. If you start to feel overwhelmed, one thing at a time. Just one. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Just one. So that's where, when you start feeling overwhelmed, like right now we're 10,000 foot view. If you start feeling overwhelmed with that, bring it right into what your goal is for today. Ask yourself this question: what can I do right now in this moment to bring myself closer to my goal? Do that one thing. So effective. What can I do right now to bring myself closer to my goal? Instead of circling it and spinning it in mental circles, right? Just stop. What can I do right now to get myself closer to my goal? And then do it. Remember our 4 keys to success? Do you remember this? Yeah. Low calorie diet, regular and varied exercise, very little screen time, an hour or less a day. And I did put in outside of work, because I know some of us work on computers, but try and get up and move around. We've talked about all these things, right? Eat breakfast every day. We've talked about all these things, right? Do you feel like the second time of seeing these 3 keys to success, that you have a better idea of what I mean? I remember when we first went over this, we talked about, what's a low calorie diet? What do you mean by that? What's regular and varied exercise? We'll have that conversation. What do you mean by screen time? What's entailed with eating breakfast every day? What do you mean by that? So those 4 keys to success, do you remember where they came from? They came from the National Registry, the National Weight Loss Registry, from people who have had long-term success with losing weight and keeping it off. They are getting closer to healthy for life. So this is a great place while we reassess. I'm going to step back here for just a second, put our glasses down, think about where we're at. So the way that this program is structured is 16 weekly sessions followed by 6 monthly webinars. And I'm going to tell you, I needed to take that Monday off. I missed that when I was revising this. Just ignore the Mondays from 12 to 1 p.m. and then Wednesdays. Just ignore that. We'll stay with Thursdays from 12 to 1. We'll just make it once a month, and I will give you that information. We still got a couple of weeks. We have 15 and 16 still for our weekly sessions, and then we'll switch to monthly. But what I want to tell you is that when we switch to the monthly sessions, the feedback from plan members is that that was a hard transition because it was helpful for them to do the once a week kind of check in, do something. So what I'm going to say is that it's important to, if you think that's going to be an issue for you, it's important for you to think about maybe adding some health coaching in at this point. So I meant to change this second bullet as well. That's here. You don't need to do individualized sessions. That is an option, but especially as we move into the monthly sessions, if you feel like there's going to be concern there for you and you want a touch or a session more often, to really look at health coaching with me at the Montana Health Centers. We have Allegiance Nurse Health Coaching available to us. There's all those resources. And if you want to just talk with me about what might work best for you, I'm available for that too. And then self-monitored exercise will continue as we have been. Whatever is available and accessible for you for activity, just continue with that. So that's where we're at with the Healthy for Life program. All right. Any comments or questions about any of that? Okay, so just like at the beginning, we have these 3 components we want to invest into our goals: the weight loss, if that's appropriate, exercise or activity as appropriate for you, and then the healthy habits to be changing. So remember your goals. So let's come from 10,000 foot down to what your goals are for the next week. Bring it back in. Remember to continue to use your food and fitness logs, really important. We've had lots of feedback about, yeah, it's important to put that down sometimes, but we've definitely noticed that when we do put it down that we don't do as well. So make sure to balance that as is appropriate for you. Continue to do that as much as you can. Remember why it's important as part of this process. As long as weight isn't an issue for you, make sure to record that at least once a week. And be honest with yourself and remember that this is a tool. The scale is a tool, the food and fitness log is a tool. It's not something designed for you to beat yourself up with. It's something that's designed to help make this journey easier and more illuminating and to help you get to where you want to go. So here's your funny for the day. I think this is a repeat too, but this comic says you've got a rare condition called good health. And frankly, we're not sure how to treat it. It's so true, isn't it? Where that's what we want the doctor to say when we go to see the doctor. You've got good health. I can't do anything for you, right? It is a funny cartoon. I totally agree. You can do hard things. You can do it. Yeah. When you look at things like, it's so true, Emily, you can think about, I can do this hard thing or this hard thing. Life is really about choosing what hard thing you want to do, right? So Emily said, I can choose to be fat, or I can choose to do the work to not be fat, right? It's choosing this hard thing or this hard thing. It's just a choice between hard things. Sometimes we just get stuck where we're at, right? So we started with a picture of my daughter, and we're going to end up with a picture of my son. he has worked really hard with his mountain biking. And since I took this picture, actually, he can do jumps even bigger than this. He has come along quite spectacularly. But this picture resonated with the point of this presentation because he has worked so hard in order to be able to do this. Again, this is a skill. This is something he's had to learn. He's had to do things that scared him in order to get better at it. And his work is worth it. Your work is worth it. In order to be able to fly, you first have to learn how to crawl, right? And even when you do learn how to fly, sometimes you're going to crash and you're going to have to figure out why. It's all part of the process. It's about the time, and only the time can do the teaching. Putting in that effort over time, that's what does the teaching. That's what gets you so far ahead. Think of all the things that you know now that you didn't know 14 weeks ago. That's exciting. That's exciting. The things you've learned about yourself, new things, new recipes, new habits that you have, all of those things are so exciting, and they are worthy of celebrating. You're doing great. So this week, let's stay the course. Whatever your course looks like, let's stay that course. Yeah, isn't that picture great? It's so awesome. And it really does, it makes you feel like, yeah, let's go get it. So stay the course, everyone. Let's stay in this thing, and let's get closer to where we want to be, into that overall goal. And I will keep coming if you keep coming, and let me know what you need in order for that to happen. I've got the usual on there about doing the food and fitness log, recording your weight, doing all of that kind of stuff. Make sure to continue to do that. I didn't give you a chance to do the weight, so make sure and do that now if you haven't already done it. And then if you're going to print things, put them in your binder, do all that kind of stuff. So I really hope that this has been helpful for you, and kind of a little reset, a little oil change, maybe a little inspiration for your day to get back on track and be excited about it and do this stuff again. And of course, gotta have Calvin. So Calvin is being introspective. He's being a little negative, I gotta say, but I like to look at this from the positive angle. So let's read it. It says, Calvin says, I asked Dad if he wanted to see some New Year's resolutions I wrote. He said he'd be glad to, and he was pleased to see I was taking an interest in self-improvement. I told him the resolutions weren't for me, they were for him. We're outside now. Hobbs says, I wondered what the rush was. And it's so easy to make New Year's resolutions for other people, isn't it? Not so easy for ourselves. So they continue. Calvin says, I'm getting disillusioned with these New Year's. They don't seem very new at all. Each new year is just like the old year. Here's another year has gone by and everything's still the same. There's pollution and war and stupidity and greed. Things haven't changed. I say, what kind of future is this? I thought things were supposed to improve. I thought the future was supposed to be better. And Hobbes, who is always a very good foil to Calvin's thoughts, says, the problem with the future is it keeps turning into the present. Isn't that true? Mm-hmm. You know how you change your future? Yeah, you do. You know how you change your future. You just sat through an entire presentation about how you change your future. You start with this one thing that you can do right now. So I take any questions that you all had. Thank you very much for coming and joining me today, being true to this program. I really hope that you enjoy your week, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.